Welcome back to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. My name is Mike, also known as the Used Book Guy on YouTube, along with my friend and fellow full-time reseller, Johnny B. We help people start and grow their reselling businesses from the ground up. We also have a weekly Zoom call and private Discord for all YouTube members. Head on over to youtube.com/usedbookguy to join the channel and gain access to the full-length podcast, Zoom call, and private Discord today. Let's get into this week's episode.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 11 of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. Mike here with Johnny B over there. Today's topic is kind of like a combo cane. We have reselling health. We're not talking about, top rated seller and IPI scores. We are talking about your physical health, so your health as a reseller. And we're also going to talk about the forgotten types of media that kind of get overlooked in the reselling world. So I think first we're going to get into the health part because that's much more important than the forgotten types of media. So personally, for me, health is a big issue, right? It's weird because a lot of people kind of overlook it and you just kind of go. You're always eating on the go, not the best eating habits. Most of us don't go to gyms because our work is a lot of work and you're kind of worn down to a point where you don't feel like going to a gym after you've been listening on eBay all day or sourcing all day. You kind of think it in your mind that, what you're doing is enough, but a lot of the times it isn't, especially with media where books are not the lightest things to sell. They're probably the heaviest things unless you're selling weights or cement bricks or something like that. So personally, just a little background for me. I'm on the third floor of the penthouse suite here in the apartment. So for the past, since I started this business, all my Amazon stuff has come all the way up to the third floor and all the way back down to the car to get shipped out. And that is a lot of lifting. There's no easy way to do it. Everybody's giving me different options, a dolly or something, but I don't want to drag dollies down the steps. It's one of those things where you have neighbors, you don't want to destroy the carpet in the hallway, anything like that. So I usually carry it down one box at a time. So there was weekends, when I pack my stuff, I'm taking 15, 45-pound boxes down to the car. So it's like 15 times up and down those steps, one box at a time, right? Because listen, I don't care. Unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you ain't carrying two 45-pound boxes. And I just carry them on my shoulder. That's better for me than trying to hold them in front of me because that's when you really get your back. But that's kind of a little insight on, how health was really affecting me. And that was kind of a big thing for getting the storage unit because when I used to do bulk buys, I would bring a lot of that inventory up to even scan it. So I was bringing up thousands and thousands of CDs, DVDs, scanning them up here, taking them all back down. It got to a point where it was just too much for me. But that was kind of my biggest headache when it came to my health, and I still feel it today, right? When you pull something in your back, it kind of sticks with you for a while. That's why Deb always tells me, right? Stretch before you do any heavy lifts and make sure you're stretching at least a little bit before you go do this bulk buy. And now I have a little dolly that I got from Home Depot for like 45 bucks. And if I'm ever out doing anything bulk buys and there's heavy boxes, I just throw them right on the dolly and just drag it to the car. That's the easiest way. What do you got going over there? Like your biggest concern with health and media?
So my biggest concern with health is my back, man. Because I have like 27-gallon tubs is what I use as my default. And those suckers can range anywhere, depending what I put in them, between 80 and 150 pounds each. And when you're stacking them pour high or higher, it can get to you. So I've hurt my back several times, where it set me out for days. Nope, I can't do it. It's hard to even get up and sit down. How I've fixed that a little bit is I have carts like your dolly and stuff where it makes, instead of me manually hauling it, I just have to lift it up slightly, get it on there because they all stack like Legos. I made sure when I got these tubs that it could do that. It's not as hard, and since I stack them sort of high, like the first two, I could just slide on the back of my truck. The other two, I do have to kind of like deadlift them on there. But again, these are 80 to 150 pounds of books, like you said, cement bricks, right? I've done the shoulder thing too. That has helped alleviate back instead of like lifting it up or dragging it, because dragging it can ruin your whatever container you're doing in it. The other thing I've done is I do stretches now, just like you mentioned. That does help before and after, I've noticed. I thought about going to the gym more just to strengthen my back muscles up. Because my only workout is lifting and moving books, right? I'm sure I can get some better exercises in that can prevent pain. And I don't think we mentioned this, but both you and I are in our like mid 30s. So we don't heal as fast as we did in our 20s. Like when I hurt myself, it takes like a month to heal versus a week or a couple of days if I was in my 20s. And I imagine it's only going to get worse as we get into our 40s and 50s, etc. But
It's
no,
it's crazy, right? We have a lot of old timers in the group. That's what I like to call them, right? The old grumpy men. They're not really grumpy, but they're a lot older
you're
than
grumpy.
us.
What are you kidding? They're grumpy.
They're a lot older than us, and it still sticks with me, right? They say health is the most important thing you have, and they all swear by that. And I think to myself, like, when I get up there to their age, like living on the third floor, 100% is not feasible. There ain't no chance that that's going to happen. So it's like start taking care of yourself now. So in the future, maybe you'll be in better shape to maybe lift a little bit more. You're never going to be able to do, the same amount as you get older. Just, it's not physically possible. Your body just, you're getting older, right? But, it does go to show that it can be done if you're smart about it. And, it might take a little bit more work, more trips, but it's still feasible. And you just got to be smart. Like stretching is such a huge thing. And one thing I do want to bring up that you kind of brought up to me before I got the storage unit is that you have all your things on wheels.
Yes, that is so key because I have to when I was doing storage units and still in this warehouse, everything is on wheels that can be on wheels. Lugging around that stuff, dragging it around, moving everything off, and then moving the table or whatever I need moving over to the other side and then reloading it. That got old so quick and I was so tired, and it's a waste of time to be honest. So if you make all your stuff mobile, it's a game changer. It really is. Like all my bookcases are on dollies and wheels. All my tables are on wheels. You can buy table leg things. Most of them you're gonna have to do a little modification. And here's a big secret: you just take a little PVC pipe cup thing, screw it into those table wheel things, and then you put the legs in them because they have like little indentions in them. Most of them they just fall right off. It's the most useless thing I've ever seen. But the principle sound, yeah, and just drill a little cup on there and put the table leg inside cup, and then they won't fall out or wiggle out. There you go. There's your cheat code for making everything mobile.
So I guess with that is kind of make your setup as, as not taxing as possibly for you, right? So you want to have basically you got your stack of stuff you're sending out of your listing, kind of left to right flow. You don't want to be getting up, twisting, turning. People make it a whole 9 yards of nonsense when you can just have one table, everything gets done there, left to right or right to left, whatever works best for you. Kind of keep, your twisting and minimums or like your movements to a minimum. And listen, I know you're sitting here probably saying, who gives a crap if you twist in your chair? Well, if you ever twisted the wrong way one time and you just like fall flat on the ground and you're like, I can't move for like 20
It's like
minutes.
somebody tased you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Like then you'll understand the importance. It's the same thing with your back. I
you
remember
20-year-olds listening to this may not know what we're talking about, but you will. You'll
I'm
do it once and then you'll know forever.
and it used to get me a lot at CVS because I would be unloading these trucks by myself. And I remember, when you lift something the wrong way and your back is just done. And you literally, I would just lay there on the ground for like 20 minutes in pain, like, please go away, please go away. And I've had it to the point, like you said, where I can't even move for like 3 days. Like you're just done. If you bend a certain way, you're just like, it's painful.
Yeah, I used to I worked at Lowe's in the unloading department. We used to have to unload refrigerators. Remember my first week there, they hired two of us. We were both new. And we're trying to unload these refrigerators in a very stupid way. And this old timer comes, I like, nah, man. And here's the tip that's about to come. Use gravity as your friend. So how we unload them is move them to the edge, let it gradually flow, and then we pin it to the back wall of the other boxes and just let it slowly slide down instead of us trying to manually haul these things off. Same can be done with books or bookshelves. That's how I unload bookshelves these days. I just move it to the edge, let it slowly tip down, and then just push it up. That's so much easier. So much easier. Another thing, I don't know if we're promoting anything, but I use for my pain reliever Aleve from Bayer. Bayer, please sponsor this video.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like whenever I do a huge day of bulk buy, I pop 2 of those at the end, and I'm good usually, unless I have injured myself. But that usually gets me through it. Um, Another thing is I'm bad about this. Once I got the employee, she noticed I was doing things by myself because I'm used to doing things by myself. She stopped my ass and like, no, we're doing this together. That's way too heavy for you. I'm like, okay, I guess you're right. So knowing when to ask for help, which I'm still trying to get used to, and letting others help you is a good thing. Like if you're at an estate sale, you can ask the head person, hey, this is heavy. Would you mind helping me? I mean, it's different if she's a little old lady, sure. But if it's a grown man or a decently aged woman, yeah, ask for help. They
Uh,
can help you if they're willing.
that's one benefit to getting old, right? When I get old, I'm just gonna be like, oh, I can't move this. Can someone help me? And then some young used book guy will be like, yeah, I can load all 25 bookshelves of books to your car for you. And then I'll give him like a $2 tip, right? Because that $2 back in my day was a lot of money. So
Coupon to the Sizzler.
keep on the sizzler. I mean, that's but yeah, definitely, if especially, for older people or, people that don't have the strength to lift heavy things. I mean, books, one box of books, just the boxes we use, 16 by 12 by 12. If you filled that to the top, you probably could get 75 pounds of books in there. And that's a lot of weight. It might not seem like it when it's just sitting in the box, but I try to lift that from the ground up and you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So I think that kind of covers like basically your physical health. And now we're going to get into one that's just as important, maybe even more important in this game is mental health with reselling.
Yeah.
I'll let you take this away first.
That one's hard. A lot of this is solo, and you can be your worst enemy because of that. Because you have nobody telling you, just keep going, just keep grinding. You're going to get through it. You're going to make it. You have to do that for yourself instead of going in the negative mindset of you had a bad sales day, you're wasting your time. Why are you doing this? Self-doubt just starts to creep in and eat at you. And you have to tell that we're recording. So you have to tell that SOB to scram and and go more with the positive. And that's a hard thing to do because I've had bad days and it's hard to get out of that negative mindset once you're there, to dig yourself out of that. Because once you get a good day, that whole negativity just goes away like that. But getting from A to B mentally, is hard.
It's a lot easier to give up than continue on, right? I mean, all you got to do is just stop doing what you're doing and that's it. You're done versus continuing on. You got to keep doing everything you're doing. That's kind of why, like I preach making everything easy and kind of being carefree about it, right? I don't want this to be something that I hate doing or I'm miserable about doing. I don't want to be like, oh man, I got to go do this today for my reselling business. That's not like, I don't know, that's not the angle for me. I kind of want it to be carefree. I still want to make money, right? I'm not just doing this as like a joke. I take it seriously, but I don't want to be like, oh, I had no sales today. Well, it's time, this is the end, right? And it's kind of and my experience with I mean, I have the YouTube channel, right? I started YouTube, I had no subscribers. Like I think when I started, I had 14 subscribers from like day one, and that's like friends and family or whatever, right? So it's like when I'm making videos and you're getting 10 views, 5 views, right? It's like it can be discouraging, but you have to look, I guess maybe it's just a mindset thing, right? I'm thinking long term. I'm not thinking short term gains, thinking, oh, well, what's this going to be in 3 months, 6 months, a year? And that's kind of the mindset you have to have. You can't, I don't think reselling is instant gratification. Maybe when you're outsourcing, but the actual work on the back end, I mean, how many items do we list and they sell instantly? It's less than 1%. So there's no instant gratification. And I think a lot of human nature kind of is attracted to the instant gratification. That's why people love the phone apps. We go out and scan books and you hear that green accept sound in your ear and you're like, it's like a dopamine hit. And you're like, whoa, let's go. Like you're riding high, but you don't realize everything else that you have to do.
Right. Oh, you're a prime example of this, at least on the eBay end. Like 2 weeks ago, I had a $50 sales day. This is terrible, guys. $50 is terrible to me. And the very next day, I had a $490 sales day. And I think we focus on the bad ones a lot more than we do on the positive ones. But if we look at the month as a whole, we're doing okay. And you got to trick yourself into knowing and believing that. And when I'm having a bad day, and I think I've shared this with you, I have a motivational song and speech playlist that I listen to that gets me a little pumped up and continue to grind, get me through out of that negative mindset. And that only works, I'll let you know, motivational speeches and all that only works if you believe what they're saying. If you don't believe what they're saying, it does nothing for you and it's a waste of your time. So that's what works for me, may not work for you.
Maybe that is the single benefit to the Facebook Discord groups, is that you as a reseller no longer feel alone because you're in this group of people. But the problem with those is you get sucked down these rabbit holes and then you don't do any work. And then you're just, you're kind of, you're in limbo. And if you're not in the group every day, you're going to be miserable because your business is not doing what you expected to do. But that is a benefit, I would say, you being around other people, kind of like, the Discord group we have, you can kind of chime in or throw a sale out there, or, you didn't have sales today. And people will kind of pick you up, right? If you post something, you'll be like, oh, you know what? It's just today. It's just, the week. Everybody, maybe I'm a little slow too. So it's not a big deal, right? We'll all get through this together. It's kind of like a team mentality versus if you're not on any of these and you don't, you're not out there with anything else or anybody else, it can be taxing on your mind. Like you can get in the dumps real easily reselling, and it happens more often than not. And you just got to kind of look to the next day, the next week. Look at what you're building. You're building a business by yourself, most of us, or maybe it's two of yous, and you got to kind of block out all the noise. And at least on my end, I'll give personal experience. Reselling, like my family still thinks it's kind of like a joke, right? It's just like, oh yeah, you're a scalper. You're basically ripping people off. It's one of those things like, well, listen, block out the noise. Who cares what anybody says? You know what you got. You know the money you're making. I don't care if, the president shows up today and says, you don't know what you're doing. You ain't got, this ain't no business. Beat it, dude. You don't know what I'm doing. Like, you don't know what I got going on. People from the outside.
Pablo Escobar books. Back off, President.
People don't understand the work that goes into it, especially for a lot of resellers, because a lot of resellers, especially related to eBay and even Amazon, waste a lot of time and they buy a lot of stuff they shouldn't even waste time listing. So like, you feel like you're working, right? You feel like, hey, I did 20 listings today. Well, if it's 20 items nobody wants and you're not priced competitively or anything like that, it means nothing. It's like you almost wasted your day because these items are never going to sell.
I remember when I first started, I was really big into Backroom Burnout. Still a huge fan, still watch her stuff. And I thought I was going to be a huge success. I'll just do what she did. She does a lot of lots. She does a lot of coffee table books. But guess what? Stuff out here ain't that. So I had to adjust through it. Like, what do I have? What's making me money on what I have? And focus on that. Because I don't have access to what she does. She has beautiful books. Most of mine are acceptable books. That's an eBay term. I think Amazon may have that as well. So I had to adjust off that. Okay, what can I sell in acceptable condition that sells frequently and for less money? And just get more of that and concentrate on that. And that's been my focus. I think a lot of people watch the YouTube things, and again, I think we've mentioned this before, try to copy and paste. That doesn't always work, especially in my case. I just gave it for instance of that. So you got to adjust what works for you. And as far as the group goes, no, I think it's great. We all complain when it's a bad day all around, but we all realize it's just for the day or for the week, and we'll get through it. And I think that group mentality is beneficial. Now, you did mention the negative where you could just sit on Discord and chat all day. That is the negative. No, get to work, realize, okay, I'm not the only one. Because I think we feel that way, that we're the only one. We're alone when we're not, especially if you're in groups like this one. And having somebody there, like if I'm having a bad day, sometimes I'll message Mike like, hey, Mike, I'm having a bad day. Or Warehouse Mike, I'll message him too. And then he pumps me up. And then when he's feeling low, I pump him up. And it's just a kind of like a partner, I guess. Yeah. So that helps. It does.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I mean, if you're listening to this, you clearly are half decent with technology to find the YouTube channel or the podcast on one of the platforms that it's on. So maybe, look at one of these free Discord groups. something like that. Facebook groups, there's tons of them out there. And you know, you have a crappy day, you say, hey, today sucks. I only got no sales. I did all this work. And there's always going to be somebody like me or Johnny B in these groups that says, hey, who cares? You know, we roll with it. We've all had these kind of days. And then that's kind of your pick me up. When you get in these holes where you think, you know, you're the only person that's having these types of days and your business is not getting the results you wanted to get, and you feel like there ain't nowhere else to turn, that's when you get into trouble, right? It's like, oh man, like, oh, is this really going to work? And then you start second guessing, and then your effort goes away, and then your business goes away, basically. So it's like, it's a full circle, and you got to kind of just, you know, get through the tough times and look to, you know, what you're building, not today. Don't, it's good that you did stuff today for your business, but what you're doing and what you're building towards is so much bigger than today, tomorrow, the week, the month.
Right. It's on your worst day where you buckle down, you do what you need to, and then you do extra. That's what's going to make you succeed above and beyond your own plans. I guarantee it. You do that side project you've been putting off. Get your mind off of the gradual routine. Yeah, do your daily eBay listings if you're an eBay person. Do your daily box if you're an Amazon person, or both if you're both. But maybe do that side project to just distract yourself. I do that a lot. Like when I'm in negative stuff, I mean, I do the chat stuff too, but if I'm still there, still in the bottom of the ocean and I feel like I'm drowning, I'll pick up a project and get that done. And I feel a whole lot better once it's done, because hey, I did something that was on my personal list for the day. That's now done. And I feel better.
Yeah. And like, worst comes to worst, comment on one of my YouTube videos and I will see it and I will respond to it within the day. And I'll give you, I got plenty of good jokes that, you know, I keep a little book here and Deb doesn't allow me to tell her because she don't think they're funny, but they're funny. So all you gotta do is comment and I'll respond, and then you'll laugh at my hilarious joke and your day will be saved. It's that easy, right? It's that easy as a pick me up. You know, I'm always available around the clock. So it's that simple. Don't get stuck in the mindset of you're doing this solo. There's nobody out there. Nobody, you know, nobody's on your side. Who cares what other people think? Focus on you and your business, growing it, trying different things, and you will be fine. And I think that pretty much covers reselling health. You know, don't blow out your back and stay in a positive mindset even when things suck, because they're going to suck. They still suck for me some days, but hey, you know, I just know that the sucky days also come with amazing days.
Yeah, I can't wait for the day when I have more employees and the only lifting I do is this. You move that. You move that. That's gonna be a great day.
Dude, you'll never be that guy.
I don't know. I won't. I'll always do it myself or try to, but I'll ask for help going forward.
I'll
Sure.
wait till all your employees are there one day and you're sitting around pointing fingers. I'm gonna come in and say, "Don't listen to this guy. You don't know what he's doing. Just because he's paying you a few cents, it doesn't mean we're starting a mutiny right now."
There's a union.
All right, so we are into the next part here, the forgotten forms of media to sell. We have this is a good idea by Johnny B. So we're going to talk a little bit about LPs, albums, cassettes, and audiobooks. I'm going to start with my favorite that I probably would say I know the most about, which is audiobooks. So I've actually gotten this a lot because I don't find them often. I used to find them a lot when I first started, is audiobooks to sell on Amazon.
If you have a store up in your area that's only audiobooks,
there
remember
used
the
to
video
be
like way back.
there used to be one of my community aides used to have, I don't know where they were getting them from, but I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of audiobooks. And whenever I went, I mean, I would clean it out. And they stopped carrying them for some reason. But the last time I was out that way, new Goodwill they built, the last box I sent to Amazon that I could send was all brand new audiobooks I got from this Goodwill. And they were $2.99 each. And they had like a whole DVD rack full of them. If you know, kind of like the Goodwill DVD racks, they got two sides, two longer sides, and then two like end cap shorter sides, and it was all audiobooks. And I cleaned up in there. I scan them every single time, and they sell. They're longer tail items, right? They're not going to sell immediately, and but a lot of them are good profits, especially if you can find them new. You know, it might be 10 e-score, but you're new. I mean, you're going to get the buy box. It's a new product, and I don't come across them as much as I used to. I don't know what you see out in your area, but I used to see them often, and now it's like, I guess most people just buy the digital download of them. So maybe they don't produce them as much, but I still scan them and I love selling them. If it's profitable, I'm going to buy it and send it in.
I have one store that has them in town. My issue there, it's like an antique mall because they got the different booths and stuff. And these people have in their heads what they think it's worth, and it's not. So, like, if I go in that store, like those in particular, are like $8, $10 each, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I will tell you the actual price on the back of the audio books is astronomical from what you're going to get, right? So there was a lot of the ones I scanned where on the back says like this is 12 disc and it's $59.99 brand new, like that's the MSRP, and it's not going for anywhere close to that. And a lot of the audiobooks, like you said, most of the MSRPs are at least $19.99 minimum. So if it's something like that, people probably think it's worth its weight in gold. So it's one of those things, right? If you have them, it's definitely feasible. I mean, if all you got is audiobooks around you, then 100%, develop a business around that.
I would love just to be an audio book seller. That sounds like so much fun. But I have like no supply for that out here to even consider that. I would love just to add them into my stores for both Amazon and eBay, but they're just non-existent around here other than that one store. And that one store is composed of library sales. Because I see this library marks and stickers even in the book booths and the CD booths. I can tell they come from libraries. So yeah, I do find audiobooks at libraries, I will say that. But they're usually like they got a rubber band around them and the discs are all there. It's like
Yeah.
I don't think I could sell this beyond eBay. And then it's like hope it sells.
I did make one audiobook mistake, I will admit to here, and it still eats me up to this day. So I went out to that thrift store that had all the audiobooks, and I just finished reading the Arnold Schwarzenegger autobiography at the time, and they had it there, and I didn't get it. And I got home, and then I looked it up, and he narrates it himself. And next time I went back, it was gone, and I was to this day, I'm like, I should have got the thing for $3. What did I do? But yeah, audiobooks are profitable, longer tail items. So it's one of those things where, hey, it's going to sit for a little bit, but if you can get them at the right price, not $8, you can get them for, under $3 because they see all the disc and that's what, oh, there's 10 discs. So we're going to charge $3 for this or $5.
$2 a disc. No.
Be smart about it, and you can make money on audiobooks, and I definitely think people should scan them, or if you have an opportunity to maybe bulk buy a bunch of them at a good price, then it's definitely worth your time.
And here's a few tips on that. Because I used to just to buy audiobooks in disc form before Audible was a thing. What makes them really sought after is they're fully dramatized, or they have like radio drama stuff, like real sound effects going on. That usually adds to the value, and especially if it's by anything BBC, it's just a win. I remember listening to Lord of the Rings, a whole 18 hours Lord of the Rings, but it had a full cast, full sound effects. It was beautiful, way better than the movies. But that's not a high bar, right? But anyway, those are good, and as well as the people. It's a husband and wife team. They did the Wheel of Time series, but they've done so much more beyond that. I think the Kramers is their last name, if I remember right. So anything by those two is good. That's about as far as my audiobook knowledge goes, and that's when I was a consumer, not a seller. So
just scan them all. Yeah. All right, that's audiobooks. Now we're going to get into cassettes, because that's my second most knowledgeable thing here, and I don't know much about cassettes, but I have been dabbling in them recently, because cassettes at thrift stores, they basically give them away, at least around me. They're quarter.
You'll take them, please.
Quarter, 50 cents, something like that. So it's definitely something where there is opportunity, but like anything else, you kind of have to have a knowledge base with cassettes, right? Audiobooks, you can scan the barcodes. They all have the ISBN barcodes. I've rarely come across an audiobook, maybe if ever, that didn't have a barcode. For the most part, though, cassettes, you're kind of just shooting from the hip. It's a knowledge-based thing.
Right. Some of the later ones, like 90s ones, some of them would have a barcode, but most of them do not. The thing when you're looking for cassettes, there's a little pad in there. And I learned this from the Daily Refinement group. There is a cassette seller there. If it doesn't have a pad, unless you have replacement pads in there, don't buy them because it won't work.
What pads are you even talking about?
I don't remember what they are, but it's like a little cushion pad that's inside the thing. You can unscrew it and put the pad back in there. It's what feeds over the tape.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you got the two little things and it runs, and there's some little like pad there that causes the little tape not to break.
So yeah, like some cassettes do have a barcode that's just blocking me out fully.
There you go.
But when you scan it on Scout IQ, you kind of just get like no results. It does show that exact thing, but it doesn't show a rank or anything. So it's one of these things where it's just kind of knowledge base, and I've been learning a little bit, not as much because I haven't been going out as much, but like lots will do good on eBay. My cassette focus is on eBay. I'm not doing any cassettes on Amazon. So I've sold cassettes on eBay late this year. I walked into that Lucky Metallica stack with Nirvana and everything for $1 at the thrift store, and I just took a gamble on it, right? Because most of that old school rock stuff does pretty well. Nirvana's popular, and I made a few $100 off it. So now I kind of like when I'm in and I see cassettes, because even the Salvation Army has cassettes for like a quarter or 50 cents. So like lot things up, you find a bunch of Madonna, lot it up, anything. Basically anything there's a lot of, you can lot up, even if it's not a popular artist. And there's still a market for it. I mean, if you look on eBay, there's cassettes are selling often. They're kind of making a comeback with LPs. A lot of the old media is making a comeback. Besides, I mean, I guess VHS is, but VHS is more selective. I think you got to kind of have certain titles or certain genres. So I think overall LPs and cassettes have kind of made a bigger comeback in the past 2 years, just overall across the board. Even the younger generation, if you go out and you find a cassette player, right, one of the old school Sony cassette players, I'm sure you can fetch a pretty penny for that on eBay. So it's like cassettes, there's
Even the
definitely
old
money.
school boom boxes, they're expensive. They're thousands and thousands of dollars, especially if they got the lights and all that crap.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. Today's full episode and all previous episodes are available to all YouTube members, along with the weekly Zoom call and private Discord. Head on over to youtube.com/theusebookguy and consider joining for as little as $2.99 a month.